quiet, Monica. You're breaking my concentration.
Why? This is more important than your city hut.
Blast it all! Now I have to start all over again. Haven't I told you never to interrupt me when I'm creating?
Oh, but you're always creating. I have to do this sometime.
Oh, very well, very well. What is it?
Mimosa is preparing mutton for dinner, and I told you we're having company. They'll be here at any moment.
They should be thankful for a free meal. Much no not. I warn they'll leave a smidgen on their plates.
Darling, but, oh, well, why can't we have a nice lunch of beef or even lamb?
The price of beef and lamb is outrageous. I won't pay it.
Well, it's not if you can't afford it.
My money is mine, and I don't intend to dissipate it on the need. Don't see why we have to have guests anyhow. Plenty of hotels in Bermuda. What they want is a free vacation.
Darling, it's not about the guests. I mean, why can't we have a nice lunch of beef or even lamb?
I don't notice you getting any thinner on our usual fare, Monica.
Oh, I don't know why I even bother talking to you anymore. Compared to you, Ebenezer Scrooge was diamond just great.
Lord Whittingham, I've just come from Payson and...
If it's about the money, Snapper,
It's about Mimosa.
is she complaining or what?
No, of course I'm not complaining, sir. I am.
About what? If you find your workload too strenuous or your wages insufficient, let me remind you that there was an apprentice who would find a cushy job as secretary on this estate.
My tasks and compensation are quite suitable, thank you. What I'm complaining about is it's not only a proper and a well-run household, but the problem is useful. It's also risky, but not problematic. It's inexperienced in a preparation of food as Mimosa.
Nonsense. Anyone can cook a leg of mutton. Cooks are expensive, but I do intend to interview some applicants to replace our recently departed daughter. One of these days, but not this week. I'm far too busy.
With your hobby again?
Not again, still, and I don't appreciate the interruption.
Yes, sir. Whatever you say, sir.
And be sure that Mimosa doesn't go berserk with the spice rack this time. Just nice, plain baked mutton, with none of her Jamaican adornments, understand?
I'm certain she won't, sir. Not as the last time.
I did not throw that leg of mutton at her. I was brandishing it at her and it slipped out of my hand. Miss Stafford, Nancy, drat that woman. Sweet and serene on the inside always, but nasty heart deep inside. Nasty heart.
Excuse me, Lord Whittingham, but...
Let me guess, you've just come from the kitchen, right?
Why, no, sir. From the front door. You have callers.
Blast! Can it be those freeloading guests already? Well, don't bother me about it, Brimley. Just show them to their rooms and...
Begging your pardon, my lord, but these are not any of the invited guests.
Oh, then who in the world are they?
The police, Lord Whittingham. A Detective Inspector Braddock and her assisting sergeant, Mr. Regal.
Police? What in the world do they want? I did not send for them, and to my knowledge, there's been nothing criminal going on in my house. If you don't count Lady Monica's wasteful approach to stalking our larder.
I do believe, sir, that they are here because they were sent for, however.
Sent for? By whom?
They insist it was Lady Monica.
Nonsense. She'd have told me if she sent for the police. At least, I think she'd have told me. You don't suppose a man can be arrested for not serving his guests high cost cuts of meat, can he? Oh, why am I even bothering to continue? Bring them in, Rimley. Bring them in by all means.
At once, my lord.
Simplest thing to do is ask them why they're here.
I beg me Lord's pardon, but how many will there be for tea?
Mimosa, you startled me. You moved like a cat. Tea, you say? Well, I suppose my wife Monica, and myself, and our son Algie, if he ever stops playing all the tennis long enough to visit his home. Oh, drat!
That, sir?
The blasted guest. No telling when they'll arrive, but Monica seems to be expecting them momentarily.
But how many for tea, Lord Whittingham?
Well, I suppose Monica's sister Fredonia, and her annoying effervescent daughter, Chloe, and B.B. Cavendish, the designer. Seems to me there's someone else. Oh yes, Miss Jasmine Purdue, that Alabama lady that Monica met on a cruise to someplace. Can't think of anybody else.
The French gentleman?
What French gentleman?
Mr. Porry.
Mimosa, you don't mean Monsieur Porry, Pierre Porry?
Yes, that is the man.
Now what in the world makes you think he will be coming here?
He's already come. I saw him through the kitchen window. He was strolling about.
Well, now this is most awkward. Who in the world invited me? Especially with Miss Cavendish coming here.
Perhaps she did, after all they are engaged to be married.
We're engaged, Mimosa, past tense. That's what makes things so bloody awkward. Well, let them sort matters out. It's none of my affair. How many does that make for tea?
The family and 5 guests. 8.
Rat! Hope the watercress holds out. But don't you be getting into the potted meat spreads regardless. Blasted food bills are going sky high lately. Oh, I say, did I do that the other day?
No, don't, please, sir. It's closing right now.
Damnation, girl! I wasn't going to strike you again. Oh, it's the police, isn't it? I hope you didn't imagine. Quite embarrassing to blurt out something like that with the constabulary within earshot. Could be quite misconstrued if not sufficiently explained.
Shall I take a statement, Inspector Prout? Perhaps later, Sergeant Friedel, should it prove germane to the circumstances, Detective Inspector Release Protocol for command, and my assistant, Sergeant Friedel.
Delighted. No, wait, hardly delighted. I'm rather nervous around policewomen, but I do bid you a most cordial welcome.
Will there be anything else, my lord?
What? Oh, nothing at the moment, friendly. Thank you. Now, Inspector, I feel I should explain what you just overheard.
Not absolutely necessary, sir, but if it will ease your conscience.
Yes, thank you, it would. You see, 2 evenings ago, my maid Mimosa. Oh, but please, be seated, both. Now, as I was saying, 2 evenings ago, my maid Mimosa, the young girl you just saw in here, and I were having a sort of employer-employee altercation in the kitchen. You see, she served a capon for dinner, a quite nice capon, actually, but I'd expected mutton. Thought I specified mutton. As a matter of fact, to so emphasize my point, I took this leg of mutton from the fridge and sort of brandished at her, saying something like, "This is what I mean when I say mutton, not capon, mutton." At that moment, well, the shank was somewhat slippery, and
You lost your grip.
the joint struck her upon the forehead. Deucedly awkward moment for both of us. I apologize, of course, and that should have been the end. But a moment ago, when I attempted a closer look at her bruised forehead, well, she must have misunderstood my movements and reflexes being what they are.
I believe that clarifies matters quite cogently, my lord. Just one of those silly little occurrences that pop up to plague domestic tranquility.
Exactly right, ma'am. I say, has she been taking down everything I've been saying?
Wouldn't surprise me. Her speed writing is quite miraculous. But I do think no further note-taking will be necessary at the moment, Former. Whatever you say, ma'am.
Thank you, Inspector. It's quite hard to speak normally when one feels every little grunt and hiccup is being logged from posterity. Now, as to your presence in my home, I'm quite at a loss. Confounded, really. You say you were sent for?
Well, we had not yet said so, Lord Wickenham, but yes, we were summoned here by a rather odd message hand delivered to our Hamilton headquarters.
Extraordinary. I can't for the life of me. But I say, this is written on my personal stationery.
Which is why we can dismiss it as a prank.
This is monstrous. A joke. It must be a joke. Or the work of an unbalanced mind. But the signature M, for what a better description. I wonder if my wife...
Wonder if your wife what, Clyde?
Monica, you startled me. You must be taking sneaking lessons from Mimosa. Now let me introduce you people. This is Inspector Braddock and her, no, Sergeant Green. My wife, Lady Monica Whitman.
How do you do? How do you do? Lady Wickenham? Charmed, I'm sure. But the police? Here? Clyde, what have you been caught at?
They were summoned here, apparently, by you.
The Wickenham estate on Copperfield Beach is one that the police should hurry up and reach. There's something rather evil that is going on that may need the attention of a police more. But I don't understand. What does it mean? That's what we hope to determine, Lady Monica, if immediately suggested, is it not? And the pronunciation of its final syllable. Oh, why, it's Calypso, isn't it? I remember it well, from our Jamaican holiday.
Aha! Of course! That signature M does not stand for Monica, it stands for Mimosa.
But why would our
You are holding forth on the superior delights of Schweighofer's Hagler, over the more usual Darjay mingled blended. So, assuming your contention to be truthful, I quite naturally chose to say wrong.
Why, do you know, that's almost reminded me of Sherlock Holmes. So fascinatingly analytical adore yourself.
Oh, Mom, please don't get her started.
Now really, Alma.
Mind you, she's a perfectly darling inspector, but I swear, when there's a high-faulty mystery to be solved, she's itching to put on a deerstalker cap and smoke a calabash pipe.
Well, I see nothing wrong with employing deductive reasoning when the occasion warrants.
Or even if it doesn't, more's the pity.
Utter nonsense. Caleb, no, my lady Monica, she exaggerates, of course.
Excuse me. Old Clive said something about mysterious note. He thought I might be of some distance.
May I assume from that strange manner of speaking that you are a forlorn person of Hungarian extract who has just recently learned our language?
No, you may not. I have been licking stamps for the past 15 minutes and can't seem to get the glue off my tongue.
See now, what did I tell you?
Well, it sounded Hungarian.
You must be Inspector Braddock. I'm Nancy Stafford, the Executive Secretary. There'll be a wedding in a fortnight and a case being taken in the case today for the Morning Post.
Oh, I just adore weddings. Who are the lucky couple?
Now, Alma, that's none of our business.
Can you be absolutely certain?
Well, no, of course,
And
but...
it's the wedding of our son, Algernon, to Miss Phoebe Cavendish.
Oh, not the famous fashion designer. How I'd adore to be able to afford one of her designer frocks. Elegant, that's what they are. Your son is a very lucky man.
Alma, I sincerely doubt that he will avail himself of her designer books. Would he?
Really, Inspector? Though I must say it's a ludicrous image.
Excuse me, was that mysterious note? I really must get back to my staff.
I say, don't you have a sponge pad or some such? Tongue licking is so unpleasant.
It's all dry, until we get the new shipment of fish from the government. I'm afraid there's just no water available in this house. Haven't been able to bathe for the past 24 hours.
Nancy, what are you saying? No water available for arriving guests? Why was I not informed?
I'm sorry, Lady Monica. I thought you knew. I spoke to Lord Clive about it yesterday afternoon. He said nothing to you about it?
Not a word. Oh, Clive is his all-consuming hobby. Sometimes I can just rain him with his unabridged dictionary. Ooh. There you are! You wretch! How could you have failed to inform me that there is no usable water available for our arriving guests?
What are you? Oh, I say. Yes, I have been a bit remiss. Nancy told me yesterday. It seems our recently departed Dora cooked the fish, so we cannot trust the water in the storage tanks to be free of mosquito larvae.
Cooked the fish? But that's criminal. That's utterly stupid woman.
That's why Nancy fired her.
Ha! So you're the reason we have only mimosas to do the cooking for a house full of guests. I wonder if perhaps that inspired you in return.
Miss Jasmine Purdue.
Aunt Monica, I do
Why, don't you have it?
You had it when you went to fetch the maid, my lord.
You did, Clive. I remember distinctly.
Then where in the world? Ah, of course. I must have set it down on the counter when I was insisting on Mimosa come back here with me. Go and fetch it like a good girl, will you?
Do you think that is quite wise, my lord? After all, if that is her handiwork, what a splendid opportunity to get rid of it.
Oh, yes. How foolish of me. Well, I shall accompany her to make certain nothing happens to it.
I think perhaps we all should tag along. I believe I heard the front doorbell.
And I still have none of my good snacks today.
I must apologize for such an unusual welcome to the bride gathering.
Dear me, don't. I think it's all ever so exciting. First, these lovely grounds. Well, then this magnificent mansion. Oh, and now a touch of mystery besides. Oh, it couldn't be more fun if we actually played it. Oh my, what a glorious view of the sea. But didn't I understand you to say this house is only a step from the beach?
Oh, well, technically it is. But that's one step would carry you quite a distance down from that balcony.
Well, that must be a 250-foot drop.
76 meters.
Well, isn't that exactly the same height?
Well, yes, but it sounds less precarious. Now come along, dear. Really fast to let me show you to your room.
Oh, not just yet, Monica. I'd really like to enjoy this view just a little longer. All that sea, the sky, the air, smelling so wonderfully fresh.
Very well, if you prefer. But I simply must do what's going on in the kitchen, if you'll excuse me.
Oh, certainly.
Miss Phoebe Cavendish. Where did everybody go?
Perhaps I've come too early?
I assure you, Miss Cavendish, this room was wall to wall with people a moment ago. Why don't you make yourself at home while I see where everyone has gone?
Yes, oh.
Pierre, what are you doing here?
Where my sweet baby sojourn?
This is impossible. I thought you'd returned home to Paris after I signed our engagement.
Can't you take no for an answer?
Your lips, mademoiselle, but the look in your eye tells me.
1,000 times now? Now stop trying to get your arms about me. You're worse than Pepe Le Pew.
Ah, but mes chérie, what mom could resist? You're sharp, you're lovely.
The last time, Pierre, lay off. Our engagement is over, finished, done, finished.
You cannot mean that.
Of course I can. What does it take to get through to you? Oh, I'll admit, I was in rapture with you for a while. You look so dashing in your naval uniform. But ever since your operation, you've let yourself go something terrible. Look at those trousers of yours. What fashion designer would dare let herself be seen in public with you?
We need not be seen in public. Then we shall have the delicious secret romance, meeting only by the moonlight. Beneath the whispering palm trees.
Stop! Enough! What's done is done. It can never more be between us.
And why can it not? Me? I am.
Because I'm engaged to marry Algernon.
Engaged? Ah, a momentary aberration on your part. Algernon is a woman such as you. Requires the masterly romancing of a man and say, well.
You are wrong, Pierre. What I need is a husband who knows how to groom himself perfectly for every social occasion.
Don't even come near me. Don't even think about it.
Chérie, you know you.
All right, how is my charming fiancé this glorious day?
You were saying, Chérie.
Miss Cavendish, the others will be here momentarily. Lady Monica sends her apologies that she is not here to greet you herself.
Quite all right, Ruby. Thank you.
I say, this is beastly awkward. Wouldn't have worked up quite a sweat on the courts if I'd known.
But there does seem to be a storm blowing in. Perhaps the tanks will be refilled before y'all know it.
Who are you?
I'm Jasmine Purdue, a friend of Lady Monica's.
Oh, yes, that Alabama person. How do you do?
I was just admiring your marvelous view from the balcony. And you beautiful at the same time, I have no doubt. Well, you and your small, beautiful reed didn't exactly lower your voices.
We have such we were in on, mademoiselle.
I say, wonderful. What were you talking about before I arrived?
Oh, it was nothing, darling, really. If you say so, Miss Cavendish. Now see here, Miss Purdue.
Miss Fredonia Custardine and Miss Chloe Custardine.
Pierre, what are you doing here?
Wooing the woman he adores.
But isn't that a bit unsporting?
The British are sportsmen, Chloe, never the French.
Even so, I think it goes beyond the sporting sphere for Monica to invite her son's fiance's former fiancé.
Certainly not the name of your sister, Fredonia. I am here upon my own invitation.
How totally gauche of you, Pierre.
And why should a friend of the family not drop by to pay a call?
Listen, Monsieur, you are my father's patient, never his friend.
You forget that your famous father's surgery saved my life, Algernon. I shall forever consider him a friend.
Well, friend or no friend, I find your presence here an outrage. I shall advise Monica to have you moved from the premises immediately.
Now, really, Fredonia.
Fredonia is right. You have no business being here. If Monica won't have you rejected, I shall throw you out myself.
Rather a turbulent welcome for you and your mother, Chloe.
Things always tend to go turbulent when mother is around, I'm afraid.
The absolute cheek of that Frenchman to come in here knowing I'm a fiancé to Bibi.
Still in all, it's easy to understand how he feels out there. When life is a love that seems unattainable, it somehow becomes all the more attractive.
I know what you mean. Oh, my dearest darling.
My love,
My sweet
Algie,
Chloe.
we best be careful. Someone might see.
I don't care. Let them see. If father won't approve of our being wed, I'll marry you anyway. Damn the stupid inheritance.
Now, Algie, be practical. There is no way you could possibly support a wife without your father's money. I mean, darling, you're not good at anything. What possible kind of employment could you procure?
But I simply cannot endure being without you. If father didn't have this silly little notion about consanguinity.
But that's ridiculous. He knows I'm only mother's adopted daughter. It's not as if we share the same bloodline, even though we are technically cousins.
Father insists it would be scandalous nevertheless. I begged, urged, pleaded.
Threatened?
Chloe, what a thing to suggest.
Well, nothing else seems to tempt him so hard.
No, please don't cry, darling. Everything will be all right. And soon, I promise.
There's nothing short of death that gives you inheritance. How can everything be all right soon?
Don't worry your pretty little head about such mundane matters. Just trust me and keep on loving me. Soon we'll have nothing to worry about.
You sound so certain, darling. Suddenly, I'm afraid.
Well, don't be. I have a plan.
What plan? They're coming back.
Inspector, I don't know where the last message is. I set it down on the counter and now it's gone.
But are you sure you managed to leave?
Impossible. I took her by the arm and brought her here straight away. I would have seen her take it.
Going to be a big disappointment for the handwriting expert.
Oh, cheer up, Sergeant Tweedle. Perhaps a mysterious message writers will be sporting enough. We'll send another letter.
Would everybody like tea? Oh, I certainly would, Monica. This entire situation is preposterous. Quite preposterous.
And if it weren't Auntie Fred,
Oh, she'd have one anyway. Really, Monica, it's only because there's no fresh water available.
And I expect there's plenty on the way. What a wind with an
general invitation, Monica, Mimosa.
Then perhaps I'd better see to the tea, Sandwiches.
Cheeky girl, I wonder you tolerate her, Monica.
Well, she has been through a lot today. Suspected of sending dire notes, interrogated by the police. Under the circumstances, I think she's behaving rather splendidly.
Especially after that cough the governor laid on her beam.
The governor, you say?
Algernon was referring to me, Jasmine, though why he should mention that incident is a mystery to me.
What incident? Is it something juicy?
Monica, darling, would you do the honors? I'm rather tired of telling the tale.
Well, so am I, darling. Perhaps Sergeant Riddle will be kind enough to send this cabinet a carbon copy of the police report.
If you like, Lady Wickenham.
Lord, I know this is probably a vain hope, but how many people have access to your personal stationery?
Anybody with the ability to open a desk drawer, I don't keep it under lock and key. Why would I?
Still in all my you doesn't ever leave your desk. Someone must almost have to sneak in here after you've gone to bed.
Then it must be that wretched maid, sneakiest female I know, moves like a cat. Never makes a sound.
But surely, Father, anyone can master the art of tiptoeing.
Well, maybe it was you. You never seem to be wearing anything but sneakers.
But why would you sign it with the initial M?
Perhaps it stands for mysterious.
Oh, merely for mischievous. Oh, there was nothing mischievous about it, Chloe. It's not every morning. A kind of mystery.
Oh, this is positively giving me goose flesh. I do wish I'd seen it.
And it was in Calypso style, and that surely points to Jamaican origin.
Now, Lord Crab, we've been all over that. If Mimosa didn't want to be found out, she'd hardly give us such a definite clue. I wonder now, could someone be pointing the guilty finger at Mimosa? And if so, why? Does she have any enemies anyone knows of?
Only those who have had to eat her cooking.
Well, I do hope you can make proper tea sandwiches.
Why, Monica, you seem to have forgotten a drink for yourself.
Well, I already had one, but I don't remember where I put it down at.
Well, Monica, I believe that's it from the coffee table right there. Smells like high-grade Ceylon.
Oh, why, so it is. There's nothing like good, strong quality tea on a blustery day, and we certainly seem to be in for an extraordinarily heavy dowry.
I can't lick another stamp. It's all I can do to get my lips to cry. Would anybody mind if I went out on the balcony and stood facing upwards with my mouth open?
Oh, well, why don't you take my tea, Nancy? I haven't touched it.
Why, thank you, Mom. Where is it?
Oh, it's right there on the coffee table. Oh,
Dear me, we are in for it.
Can't come soon enough for me. I've never felt so sticky in all my life.
Darling, pronounced stinky. Do you know, that's positively scary. I really could use that drink now.
Here now, that's unblended Ceylon. That'll taste positively foul after the glue from the stamps. Let me make you an herbal variety instead.
Why, thank you, Lord Wickenham.
Why, Claude, you astound me. Since when have you become so helpful? You usually ring for Remley to do everything, even to sharpen your pencils.
She's much too busy right now. When a storm this big breaks, she has to secure every window in the house.
Oh, someone's already closed off the balcony. I'll just see to the kitchen then. No need, Redley. Mimosa never opens the window. Likes it perfectly torn there.
Well, I'm surprised you people don't all have central air conditioning in this apartment.
Never really needed it. Blasted iron and so narrow we get sea breezes from all sides most of the year. Air conditioning would be quite superfluous.
and expensive.
Do not tease a good Dr. Monica. I admire a man who is careful with his money.
Excuse me, but did you say doctor?
Father's a neurosurgeon.
A well-famous neurosurgeon.
Actually, he saved my life not too long ago, for which I shall be forever grateful.
Piece of cake. Nothing simpler than a cervical laminectomy infusion. Just takes a confounded long time.
Dear me! I hope this house at least has lightning rods.
Well, naturally it does, Miss Perdue. This high on a cliff would be sitting ducks in a thunderstorm otherwise. I didn't hear the weather forecast today. Was the storm expected?
Oh, you seem so intense, Inspector.
Here now, that's my telephone. I pay the bills around here.
Not exactly cheerfully.
Well, whoever it is, might I use it?
A little late to check the forecast, is it not?
Actually, I was about to phone a friend of mine. She's a bit of a klutz. Thought I'd make sure she arrived home safe in the storm.
Oh, very well, very well.
Would you care to sit down, Inspector?
Thanks, but this won't take long. Hello, might I speak with Miss McGrew, please? Hi, Maisie? Oh, her roommate. Well, when do you expect her? How very odd. Oh, well, when she does return, please tell her I called. Thank you. She's a job interview of all things.
Well, I certainly hope she glamours up a bit for it. A librarian, it looks it more as a pity. Hair in a bun, thick eyeglasses, shapeless sweaters, and sensible shoes.
Alma, do you mind? This really isn't pertinent to these people.
Do a Frenchman looks are always perfect.
Now stop it, Pierre. One more romantic peep out of you and I swear I'll...
Now, didn't we settle this out in the kitchen? Pierre is free to stay on and visit, so long as he does not attempt any more amorous advances.
But being a Frenchman, we will, no doubt.
Why, how very flattering of you, Virginia.
I do wish this awful storm would let up. All that wind and thunder and lightning are starting to give me the creepy willies.
If that means a sort of impending doom sensation, I know what you mean.
Algie, what sort of doom?
Anybody like their tea bombed?
Look, behind the desk, that's a drinking blood.
Who is that brunette lady?
That beautiful brunette lady.
Holding a bloody dagger!
A dagger, then what was that pistol shot?
Who drew those drapes across the front door?
Inspector, is he? Yes, I'm afraid he is.
Is what?
Dead.
Dead of what?
Was he shot or stabbed?
Actually, he's been strangled. Well, I'm no medical expert, of course, but there are bruises on his throat and a total lack of respiration. No sign of gunshot wound or stabbing. Strangled seems to sum the situation nicely.
But whose blood is on that dagger?
Good question. Let's find out. Young lady, how did that blood get on that dagger?
And just who are you?
And why are you dressed like that? And what are you doing here?
Well,
I don't know.
which one of these questions will you be answering?
All of them. You don't know what you are doing here.
Or why you are dressed like that?
Or who you are?
Yes. Yes. I don't know any of those things.
Well, that's a likely story.
Do you really think
So, Lady Monica? No, of course I don't. Then what's this so?
Might I take charge of the conversational drift? There are more important matters to attend to.
Hold it! Let me get to my notes pad. There, that's got it. Proceed.
You're not going to conduct an investigation now, are you, Chief Inspector?
Seems as good a time as any, sort of strike while the corpse is hot.
Don't you mean cold?
Well, actually, he's still quite warm. But would you all mind not interrupting me?
Sorry, Chief Inspector.
you don't sound sorry?
Now, really.
But where's her shock, her horror, her racking sobs? She is rather self-imposed for being so recently widowed.
Hold it, all of you. We really must restrain this cheery chit-chat until later.
But
mimosa make for tea?
With the bottled water, of course, Chief Inspector.
Oh, what bottled water?
Surely you don't imagine one would brew tea with the water from the tank.
Well, that's what I always do. But doesn't your tea taste perfectly fishy and foul? Come to think of it, yes. But if there was bottled water available, why didn't Nancy use some of that to get the stamping off her tongue?
Because Mimosa wouldn't let me. We were down to the last bottle, and she needed it for making the tea with so many guests due to arrive.
Also, Nancy, it gave you a marvelous excuse for getting into our quality tea.
You never did like me. Doesn't anybody?
Hold it, all of you! We're getting off the track again. Let's get rid of Lord Clive's cadaver and then get on with this investigation.
Shall I erase the bit about Mimosa and the tea man, or would you like me to turn in an honest report?
Now really, Alma,
Only joking, it'll spice up my chronicle quite nicely.
what chronicle?
Well, Hercule Poirot has his Hastings, Sherlock Holmes has his Watson, and you've got your Riddle.
I say, do you mean that you're writing detective entertainment based upon my departmental exploits?
Who else have I got?
Well, let's get back to the investigation, shall we? The 40. What about removing the 40? You're rather pushy for a main suspect, aren't you?
Well, I thought Mimosa was your main suspect. That was before she heard about the bottled water. Tank water is only used for bathing and washing things.
I knew that.
Look, can we please do something about our Clive's cadaver?
Yes, yes, yes. If only you're reasonably strong enough, would you and Algernon do the honors? Yeah, could you kindly give them a hand?
Certainly, madam.
Sure.
Try to keep his rear end from dragging. The floor's just been wet.
By the way, just where are we taking it?
It doesn't matter, just as long as he's out of here.
But you can't just suppose that man anywhere.
Would somebody please decide Ted ain't no lightweight, you know?
Lady Monica, it's your house now. You decide.
Oh, up on his bed, I suppose. But on the left side of the bed, you don't mind. I suppose the right side.
But surely, with the master now you hunt, you wouldn't think of...
Well, I have to sleep someplace.
Well, he won't be there for long anyhow. Just until the medical examination finishes with him, and then he'll be removed to the morgue.
And just how do you propose to summon the medical examiner? Please, said...
Why, by telephone, of course, Mr. Dew. I say, where is the telephone?
That is how it was here but a moment ago.
Oh, but it's not as if they're right in a hurry about it. I mean, dead is dead, no matter when the examiner gets to it.
I must say, you're taking your husband's death very casually, Lady Monica.
And why not? It's not as though I like it.
He was rather pained, wasn't he?
You can say that again.
Fighting in top of hunting all his dogs.
Overbearing, she mad.
Rude and ill-mannered.
Stop it! Are you people crazy? This is wrong. All wrong.
What is that?
Don't you people know that when a murder has been committed, the survivors all go to great lengths to insist on how they jaw the victim? I mean, suspicion of murder is quite uncomfortable to undergo. Everyone who even loathes the victim insists they were his lifelong chums. Then it is the job of the investigating detective to prove they're lying. Don't you see?
Would you rather we all lied about it?
Well, that is...
Seems to me that expressing our displeasure with Lord Clive's existence makes your job all the easier, doesn't it?
Well, when you put it that way, I suppose it does.
Let me get this straight for my official note-taking. You all despised him?
I did not. After all, that man once saved my life.
Then there's the killer, Chief Inspector. The only one with no motive is obvious to the guilty heart.
Then why am I Inspector Barrett's main suspect? Who said you were?
You did!
Nonsense!
It's right here in my notes, ma'am.
Erase that part. This woman is obviously innocent.
What? A perfect stranger in our household? Pretending to have no knowledge of how she got here?
Found stash
sensational figure. Sounds interesting, negligent. Sounds beautiful. Brown.
Stop! It's not fair. Why does it still have to be so unattractive? Like Manfred. I meant like you.
Well, Bertonio's no wise either.
And Lady Monica's king's better is.
Oh, hold it, all of you! The fact that this beautiful brunette found in this translucent negligee and that exceptional figure was found standing over Lord Clive's body, holding a bloody dagger, does not mean she's guilty of anything. There's something that happened in the dark that you all don't know.
Hold on, not so fast.
Did we miss anything while we were gone?
Inspector Braddock has determined that this beautiful brunette is innocent.
Is that all you wrote down?
Well, all that's want to make you look like a nincompoop.
Chief Inspector, you were saying something happened in Zeta? Is that we all didn't know?
Right. While I was behind the sofa, someone rushed past me in the dark, and it certainly wasn't this creature.
I don't mean to tell your business, Chief Inspector, but should we take that dagger away from her?
We would all feel a bit safer. Here, young lady, I'll take care of that.
And I'll help you clean it off.
Thanks ever so. No trouble at all.
Bernice, you think that is quite wise?
Is what quite wise?
Well, there might be fingerprints or something, and we don't want to clean those off.
Well, there would be my fingerprints, and we already know that. But what about the blood? What about the blood? Might it be important just whose blood it is on that notice?
Well, we know it wasn't Lord Clive. He's merely been strangled.
Yes, but with the blood on that dagger and that message written in blood on the sharp back of the desk, might the two facts tie in somehow?
She has a point, Chief Inspector.
Oh, Plastic, you're right! Oh, Bradley! Here you are, madam, clean as a whistle. Probably wasn't an important clue anyhow.
You hope.
I say, where's Mimosa?
Cleaning off the blood spots on the sink.
Oh, are you people all crazy? There's been a death in the dark, a bloody dagger, a mysterious intruder, and now the dagger's all washed off, and a major clue vanished forever, and nobody's even getting excited about all this.
How would getting excited help matters?
Well, in case it hasn't sunk in into your thick head, there is a killer on the loose in this house. I need some stronger than these watered down excuses for tea. May heaven for high-grade Salem. Come on. Not hard enough. That.
I believe she's trying to tell us something.
All I do is she'd stop that strike lady screaming and do so.
You say, some people simply cannot hold their strong teeth.
Especially since you say Southern lady from Malay Brahma, who must certainly be drinking her proper beverages.
You don't suppose that there's been foul play?
But who would want to harm dear, sweet, innocent Jasmine Perdue? Of course she was a bit of a snoop.
Always loitering about, unnoticed and overhearing things.
Such as what, dearly darling Algie?
Nothing but pawns, beloved Bibi.
Darling, beloved?
Oh, well, my son and Miss Cavendish are engaged to be married. I told you before. Oh, it's to be the wedding of the season. Would you like to come?
Dear me, that means another stamp to lick.
Well, excuse me, but if you two are engaged to be married, why haven't you so much as even gone near one another since everyone first started arriving here?
Oh, never thought of that.
Neither did I.
My precious.
My sweet.
happening, Zeta?
Right. While I was over by the sideboard, somebody brushed past me behind the sofa. And it certainly was not this creature who definitely has an aroma of a blood-pounding, haunting fragrance.
You mean she's innocent because you smell nothing? Whoever it was brushed by you behind the sofa in the dark?
Nancy, you're not paying attention. She said she did smell something. The odor of bitter almonds.
Oh, so that must have been when the cyanide was introduced into Jasmine's tea.
Precisely.
Oh, but it wasn't Jasmine's tea. It was my tea. The one I left on the coffee table.
The one that I almost remembered all that staff licking.
But luckily for you, Uncle Hyde insisted on making you a different kind of tea.
Which was quite uncharacteristic of the man old enough.
Do you think he knew the tea was poisoned?
How could he? That is to say, at the time they placed it upon the sideboard, it wasn't poison. That happened was a later on. If Chief Inspector Braddock is correct about when she smelled the cyanide,
It's all so terribly confusing, isn't it?
Yes, but I have no doubt there is a solution to this somehow. If someone can just think of one.
Isn't that your job, Chief Inspector?
She's got you there.
Exactly what did happen in the dark, Bernice Braddock?
Well, I haven't exactly formulated my theory yet.
Well, when you do, I hope you let us know.
Yes, sir, or you'll be the main suspect again.
I say, did we miss anything?
This is all ever so exciting.
you disposed of Miss Perdue so quickly.
A lot easier than disposing of the governor.
She didn't weigh half so much.
And where did you put her?
Right beside Lord Clive.
In the same bed with my late husband.
Well, we couldn't very well put her into the guest room, Bumsy.
And why not?
Because at the rate you're solving this mystery, you'll need a place to stay.
Me, I will not have that detestable woman sharing a bed with Clive, dead or alive.
If that's how you felt about Jasmine, why did you invite her here?
Oh, why, we really should let bygones be bygones.
But why did you use the pretext in the first place that you wanted her?
Did I say detestable? Well, I meant adorable, of course.
So you meant to say that you would not have that adorable young lady sharing a bed with your husband?
What wife would want an adorable woman in bed with her husband?
She's got you there, Bernice.
Right. And I felt so close to the solution somehow.
Would anybody like more tea? It's totally cold. Besides, it's time to start dinner now.
Not so fast, Mimosa. I'd like to examine that tray before you depart.
But examine it for what, Inspector?
Well, in case it slipped everybody's mind, there was a gunshot fired in the dark. If that being the case, where is the pistol that fired it?
Not to mention the bullet hole.
But there's nothing on this tray but tea and sandwiches.
In full view. But I think if we have a look inside here... What did I tell you?
But it wasn't there when I brewed it, I swear it!
But somebody must have put it there.
Even so, where is the bullet hole?
Might have gone out the terrace doors and vanished into the sea.
But the doors were closed while the lights were out.
Well, someone might have opened and closed them in the dark.
Faster than a speeding bullet? I think not. And why are those doors closed anyhow? They certainly weren't closed before the lights went out.
What can it possibly matter, Monica?
It matters to me. Open and hurry around, it's possibly stifling in here.
At once, Miss Custard Eye.
Oh, I say, there's someone on the balcony.
But how did he get there?
And just who are you?
He must be the killer.
Probably in cahoots with her.
Oh,
it isn't different
I've
the end of
never
us.
seen that man before in my life.
How do you know you haven't?
You are in the midst of a memory lapse after all.
Be careful, Rowena. It might be armed.
Rowena? My given name. People seldom use it.
Then I guess you can explain what you're doing on that balcony.
Even more so, how you got there.
It is a rather dizzying drop to the seashore below.
If you must know, I scaled the cliffside out, realizing the people there were lost all nerves and time down. It's much easier going up, you don't realize how high you are. So we
It is all making sense now. What's the blackout?
It is?
The problem, Chief Inspector, is that one can always see the bridge with the beach. That once one has started down the cliff. I saw that they opened and started up.
Oh, and once at balcony level, with it being pitch dark outside and inside while the lights were out, you couldn't tell they were closed.
Not that I dare try to climb down here. Once it was lit up, I saw that they were closed. And I also saw a dangerous bloody precipice outside and off all around the open sea.
Oh, my poor little darling. You might have been killed.
Now she tells me.
Kill me, you giant idiot.
She doesn't need any help.
Oh, here now, I've seen enough of that. There's a murder to be investigated.
2 murders.
May I suggest the inspector to resolving before there are any more murders?
Of course I shall. Now, where to begin?
You might have a go at that message written in blood.
Of course. One of you knows what my bread rug will elf maximate civil war Saiwan means. Out with it from any law or it'll go harder and use your trial. Inspector Braddock, what makes you think that any of us knows? Well, one of you is the murderer, and when the murderer wrote this...
But Inspector, I'd rather think the Lord Clive wrote that message.
Your husband? But he's the victim. Who better to leave a message for the police? Miss Stafford, return the police? That does make sense now you mention it. But what about the 2 messages? They must be in some sort of code. They don't make any sense. Honestly, Inspector, don't you recognize them? They're palindromes. They're what?
Palindromes. Any word or phrase spelled backwards and then forwards is called a palindrome. They were my late father's hobby.
Backwards is forward? Why, how utterly extraordinary! They do mean the same backwards as forwards. Wait, hold on! That bloody one doesn't. It starts with an M and ends with an N.
A dying man would probably have time to play with his hobby, Inspector. Obviously, Lord Clive was trying to identify his killer.
Do you mean to say that Lord Clive's killer was a rum runner in the Alps during the Civil War? I must say, that's the best theory you've come up with so far, Inspector. Why, thank you, Redley.
Now all we have to do is wait for a civil war to ravage the Alps.
And the first rum runner we find named Max, we grab him. Excuse me, did I say something unusual?
No, ma'am, you did not. So if you laughed in hyenas or repressed your abilities and get down to cases, there is a killer in this room. And the sooner we identify that killer, the safer you'll all sleep tonight. That's much better. Let's get on with the investigation, shall we?
Splendid idea, Sergeant Friedel. How shall we begin?
I believe a further delving into the late Lord Clive's hobby is indicated. Don't you agree, Inspector?
Oh, yes, of course, the hobby. Why exactly, Alma?
The fact that Lord Clive took the trouble to leap over the desk so we'd be sure to connect those bloody words to his hobby. I mean, it would have been much easier to scrawl the message, though I didn't know on the wall.
But wouldn't that be extremely costly? I mean, to clean up afterwards.
Perhaps that's why Clive chose the notepad. He was as tight-fisted as a novice trapeze artist skirting without a net.
I say! That's a rather good metaphor, Lady Monica. Might I use it in my detective novel sometime?
Well, of course. How very kind of you. Even so, knowing he was dying, would you have cared about cleaning expenses?
I must admit, even as venereous a man as Lord Clive would undoubtedly feel that identifying his good took precedence over financial loss.
In which case, what does
my hand.
I'm inclined to agree with her. I saw the look of shock when the lights came up. It would be extremely hard to counterfeit that emotion.
Nonsense. We all looked shocked when the lights came up, which means that somebody was counterfeiting emotions and doing a very good job of it. Why should that someone not be her?
Impossible.
Well, for one thing, look at her.
That figure. Right. So,
That hair.
Chauvinists?
Would you feel that way if they were talking about you?
Well, I
That's what I thought, Mr. Cavendish. Lady Monica, there's something I don't understand about your husband's hobby. The two phrases at the top are standard palindromes, ones that almost everybody knows. Yet you say your husband created them.
Oh, I'm sorry. I should have been a bit clearer. Clive's hobby was creating original palindromes, but he found them very hard to conjure up. So he simply used those two familiar palindromes as a sort of guide to her, an inspiration.
I say, what's all this fuss about the dear old goat's hobby? Shouldn't we set about catching his killer?
That's precisely what we are doing, Algernon. For you see, your late father's hobby is the clue that identifies his murderer. Isn't that correct, Inspector?
Yes, of course. Should be perfectly obvious.
What should, Inspector?
Hello, Sergeant.
All in good time. But before the inspector reveals the identity of the culprit, there's just one more item to be brought to light. The whereabouts of that bullet hole.
You know where it is?
Of course we do.
Where?
Tell him, Sergeant.
Better than that, I'll show them. With your permission, ma'am.
Oh, of course. Go ahead and show them what we discovered.
Monsieur Curry, would you be kind enough to place the glass vase with the peacock feathers back beside the desk?
Back beside the desk?
The inspector noticed when the lights came up that it had been removed from its original location.
Of course, first thing I saw, and of course that told me everything. About what? Tell us, Sergeant.
You don't mean that bullet hole has gone into the corner of my priceless Gauguin? What a terrible tragedy.
It would be if that is where the bullet stopped.
You mean it isn't?
No. Monsieur Curry, if you please.
certainement.
That's not my Gauguin. It's a fraud. A clumsy imitation.
Oh, fake. If that isn't the original, then...
Well, it's original.
Right where the killer hit it.
I'm not the killer! Oh, blast!
I'm placing you under arrest for the murder of
Denise. He's not the killer.
But you said
That was merely to make the theft of the Gauguin without his or her identity. Theft is not a capital crime, but murder is. I rather suspected it was Algy, but I had to make certain. The thought of facing the gallows for a murder he did not perpetrate was enough to crash his careful conclusion.
Algy. Algernon. Did you take the painting?
Oh, Mother, what's the use? Yes, I did. You know how tight Dad was with money? I could have sold that painting for a fortune, and then Chloe and I...
Oh, Algy, stupid darling.
Chloe. But Algy is engaged to me.
That engagement was Father's idea, not mine. Now that he's gone, I can jolly well take it for the bride of my own choosing.
Excuse me, but if the Peacock brothers were there to place the flaw, the duplicate painting, and not the missing bullet hole, then where is the bullet hole?
Behind the painting, in the wall.
What?
By Jove, you're right, Sergeant, but how did you know?
Well, the bullet had to go somewhere in the room, yet it was nowhere to be seen, which meant that something was covering it. The portrait was the likeliest choice, but that meant that it had to be off the wall while the lights were out.
And there is no reason why anyone would take a priceless artwork from the wall and simply replace it back on the wall again. It had to be substituted for with a fraud during the lights were out.
Inspector, you astonish me.
With the incisiveness of my production.
With the safe facts that you finally got something right?
Now don't let us insult the poor inspector. I want to know who committed the murder.
The two murders.
Oh yes, we must not forget about poor Miss Perdue.
Yes, you
Don't be so anxious. We can always look tomorrow. Now that everyone is here, except my poor, dear departed husband.
And Jasmine Perdue. Everyone always forgets about Jasmine Perdue.
And what's this poor dear departed bit? You despised your husband.
Well, with a murder investigation underway, I decided to play it safe.
If I might have everybody's attention. There, that's better. Now it is finally time for all of you to learn what did happen while the lights were out.
You mean what you theorize happened while the lights were out?
Well, I suppose that is a bit more accurate.
It is not. Inspector Braddock should tell you all exactly what happened while the lights were out.
Do we not even get to argue with them on various points?
Not unless you want this announcement to drag on till dawn.
Sergeant Boone is right. Let's all behave ourselves and pay attention.
Thanks, Lady Monica. Now, before we get into the actual events of the blackout, I'd like to tickle your minds with a few very puzzling matters that happened long before the murder.
The two murders.
I hate to disappoint you, Mrs. Custardine, but you are wrong! There were not two murders committed.
Oh, say, are you telling us that one of those deaths wasn't a murder?
Strangulation and poisoning can hardly be termed natural deaths. Perhaps one of the deaths was accidental.
How can you strangle a person accidentally?
I meant the other murder. Or was it a murder?
Well, we'll never find out at this rate. Please stop interrupting the chief inspector or I'll never get married.
Thanks, Mimosa. Now, there were some truly odd things that happened long before the crime was committed.
The crime.
Mrs. Custardine!
Now, there may have only been one murder, but there was also a theft. That makes two crimes, plural. But, do continue, Chief Inspector.
Alma, I hereby authorize you to shoot the next person who interrupts me.
But Bernice are not armed.
Well, I am. Here, take my gun. And when you shoot, shoot to kill. Now, do I have everybody's undivided attention? Good. Now, the truly odd things that happened were these. There is no doubt in my mind that Lord Clive was a general pain and close-fisted miser, surly, ill-mannered, and decidedly antisocial. And since I arrived here today, none of you has had a good, kind word for him, apparently with good reason. And yet... Alma, why didn't you fire?
At whom? They all interrupted in unison.
Well, drat, and only 6 bullets in the pistol.
Oh, say, would you like to borrow the governor's pistol? It still has 5 bullets left in it.
Algie, are you crazy?
Crazy to find out how the murder was committed. We all are.
All but the murder, that is. Thanks for your support, Algie. Now let's get on with this thing.
Good.
Okay, we all know the sort of man Lord Clive was. And yet, how very uncharacteristic was his manner several times today. For instance, although he was a penny-pinching old Scrooge of a man, what do we find over on the sideboard? A tin of high-grade Ceylon. A very expensive blend in these parts. And what happened when the man was about to have some that eat? Lord Clive again dropped out of character and offered her an herbal tea instead. And once again, though a man being described as too aristocratic to even sharpen his own pencils, took it upon himself to close the doors to the balcony when the storm arose, not waiting for Remy to do it for him. Why, I asked myself, would a man behave so contrary to his normal conduct in these 3 instances?
Oh, please don't shoot me, Inspector, but I simply must interrupt.
Bernice?
Oh, very well. What is it, Lady Monica?
It's just that all of these things seem to be leading towards some sort of denunciation of Clive. But Clive was the victim of the murder, if you follow my meaning.
I do indeed, Lady Monica, but you see, all the events that have transpired here today had but one goal in mind, the murder of Jasmine Perdue. Consider the sort of person Jasmine Perdue was, an unobtrusive eavesdropper.
What are you suggesting, Inspector?
Shall I shoot him, ma'am?
No, not when a person is simply asking for clarification, just when they start those blasted side excursions into their own conversation.
As you wish, ma'am.
What I am suggesting, Monsieur Paris, is that Jasmine made a very lucrative living as an extortionist.
One of those people who twist themselves into pretzels?
That is a contortionist, dear.
dear.
Alma, body. What? Now, Jasmine Purdue was a very strange person. And what I am suggesting is that she may have lived her living as what I have told you.
Oh, she was a horrible person. Horrible. Her dirty looks and insinuating glance.
And she observed you, perhaps upon the moonlit deck, amid romantic sea breezes, in the arms of Pierre Paul-Reed.
Yes, that's what happened.
Mother!
Do not be harsh with her, Abby, for hers is not the only guilt on that trip. For you see, other than Lord, for you see, Miss Purdue also saw similar carrying on between Miss Cavendish and your father.
But how could you possibly know that?
I say, baby, is this true?
I suppose now you wish to sunder our engagement?
Yes, but for a much more satisfactory reason. Chloe Custodine.
My trigger finger's getting very itchy.
Sorry.
You mean to tell me that all that time I was dreading Clive was none of my indiscretion. He was guilty of an indiscretion of his own.
Long before the merger. You see, think back now. Pierre had been a patient of your father's. No doubt Lord Clive first encountered Miss Cavendish when she came to visit him while he was still in the hospital.
Yes, that's when it all began. Clive was warm and charming and romantic and, well, Pierre was temporarily unavailable during his convalescence and...
Warm, charming, romantic. My Clive.
When the male animal of a species is attempting a conquest and tends to hide his natural mode of behavior, I had no idea he was such a tightwad until he arranged my engagement to his son. Just to be our lover's excuse. A reason for me to show up here ever so often without raising people's eyebrows. A temporary expedient, he said, until he could rid himself of Monica.
And he could hardly afford an expensive divorce from her, not with his money-saving instincts, so he arranged to have Pierre come here today, ostensibly uninvited, but actually his partner in crime.
Oh, and just why would have Lord Clive gone to say particular trouble of selecting me for this singular honor?
Because he needed a man he could absolutely trust. And what better person than a man, as you have continually pointed out to us today, who owed him his life?
The surgery, of course. He would have done anything for Clive.
Even murder? Well, Pierre didn't know he was getting involved in a murder, of course. Well, not the murder of Jasmine Purdue, at least.
No, I say, but how could he be sure of the strength of Pierre's gratitude?
Well, to Clive, Pierre had already demonstrated irrefutable proof. You see, Pierre had been the one to pay for Clive and Monica to take that cruise out of gratitude. To Clive, that was a superior test of friendship, spending money on a person.
Why, you bloody cheapskate! I had to pay for my own ticket. Your own fiancé!
Aren't you forgetting, Miss Cavendish, that by that time you had already shown disenchantment with Pierre's amorous meanings?
Well, yes, I suppose it was about then. I'm not quite sure why exactly.
Then allow me to tell you why.
You know why?
Let me tell you a little story about a college roommate I had, Bernice. She was a lovely thing, but financially strapped. Bernice, so to help pay her tuition and board, she got a job as a hotel maid.
Inspector, do you mean to tell me that you made it through college?
Of course I did. Bernice, what is it, Sergeant?
I told you to tell us facts about my college days, remember?
Hey, who sold this case you have?
Shoot that man! Oh, come on, Bernice. Now that you've blown it, let me handle this part of the solution, all right? My college roommate, of whom Bernice had spoken of, had taken this job as a hotel maid. About that same time, however, she needed an operation. A cervical laminectomy with
Yes, all too terribly true. Lord Clive Wickenham did not save my life. He destroyed it.
And so Lord Clive received his master's plan, and for a confederate, he chose a man who would pretend to murder him. A man who, in his heart of hearts, was only awaiting a chance to really murder him.
He cost me the love of my adored baby. He had to pay for it. Naturally, when he told me his plan about this big murder, I pretended to be only too happy to go along with it. But his big murder was far from my intention.
But bless it all, the case is solved and we can all relax.
But what about that calypso note? And the bloody writing left on that flip-over thing? And the pistol in the teapot? And the cyanide in the tea? And the blood on that knife?
And that gunshot we heard.
The one of Miss Perdue.
And the mysterious appearance of this beautiful brunette? And that very expensive painting?
Well, I can answer all of those, all except what Miss Cavendish asked. I have no idea what this beautiful brunette is doing here, nor why she is dressed like that.
Bernice, you silly goose! Haven't you recognized her yet? It's your own cousin, Maisie McGoo.
Oh, of course now it all comes back to me.
Maisie?
But where are your funky clothes and your hair and your thick eyeglasses and sensible shoes?
That part of it I don't know.
Well, then how did you recognize her?
By that haunting perfume. Librarian or not, you still wear it.
I thought I'd smelled something familiar. Now, why are you here?
I came for the maid's job. You should have called.
Oh, I did call, but your roommate said nothing about where you're applying for employment at.
I say, that's another puzzlement. Why was the poem taken away?
One thing at a time, Algie. I'd like to know why Maisie is here to seek work.
I told you. Maid's job.
I placed an advertisement for the maid's job. I mean, I was going to elope, and I didn't want to leave the Wickenham stranded here with a house full of guests.
Well then, I guess that mystery is solved and we can all relax.
Not quite. You still don't know why she's wearing all that glamorous makeup and that negligee.
Why are you wearing that negligee, young lady?
Well, I thought I was going to be interviewed by Lord Clive, and Lord Clive was a man. So I thought dressing as negligee would increase my chances of getting the job. Oh, good grief.
Right up!
Yeah, yeah.
All right, then, we settled the matter of the unidentified brunette, but what about all the other stuff?
Like the telephone being taken away.
Come to think of it, the telephone is back on there just now. Wherever did you find it, Inspector?
In the deep drawer of the desk where Lord Clive had thrust through the dark to delay my forming the medical examiner, who would surely know that the supposed strangulated victim was only pretending to be dead.
Pretending?
Well, of course Lord Clive didn't appear really intended to kill him.
Oh, that makes sense.
But for how long did Father plan to pretend to be dead? He couldn't very well keep up social deception forever.
Only until Jasmine drank the poison tea. He simply didn't want to be in the room when she died. With a room full of witnesses to say he was stashed in his bedroom when the cyanide was introduced into the tea, no one could ever suspect him of her murder.
How utterly ingenuous of the old fool.
But his motive for murdering Mrs. Sue, I mean, and writing that mysterious message.
And the calypso note that got Bernice and I over here in the first place.
He wrote that too?
And got rid of it on his way to get Mimosa. He didn't want a chance of being traced back to him once it had served its purpose.
For what purpose? It seems that their insanities that a man about to commit a murder would take such pains which assures there were police.
Ah.
Say promises.
But what police?
You're not a police?
No, you misunderstood me. What I meant was, Lord Clive didn't send for the police in general. He sent for Bernice Braddock.
Oh, what a better way to ensure that the crime would never be solved.
Now see here! But how would Clive know what sort of Inspector Bernice was?
From the stories of the Marquis about a fortnight ago. What Bernice
smartest move I ever made in my entire life.
With all these questions, Inspector, are we ever going to find out what really happened when the lights were out?
Yes, you are, right now, and with no further delay.
If you will all kindly get back to the places you were before the lights came out.
Denise, I was looking up there. Should I go there?
Maisie, how did you get into the house?
Well, I ran for cover under the stoop under the doorway when the rain began. And with all the thunder and the wind, I guess no one heard me ring the doorbell. And then all of a sudden the wind blew really hard and blew the door open. I heard voices, so I started down the hallway.
And that's when the lights went out, of course. Well, Maisie, go back into the hallway and wait for my signal before re-entering the room.
What should I do, Inspector? I was climbing the cliffside at the time. I hope you'll insist on me doing it again.
Actually, I'd like you to play the part of Lord Prime, since obviously you cannot use them. Sergeant Friedel will give you your movements.
But who's going to play Jasmine for June? Everyone always forgets about Jasmine.
That was her secret as an extortionist. She was a most unnoticeable person, yet no one need play her part. She did absolutely nothing while the lights were out. Now see here, Tom Gordon, this is what you're going to do when the lights go.
Chief Inspector, do you really expect me to go through my actions in this recreation? It would be akin to an admission of guilt.
Pierre, we already know your actions. Your cooperation with us here today, or lack of it, will be duly noted at your trial. It might go easier on you if you lent us your assistance.
Oh, very well.
There, do you have it all straight, Mr. Goggins?
I think so. The gun, the side-eye, and a dagger. Is that all done?
Quite
And
correct.
falling down and dying?
Yes, quite correct. Now then, are we ready to begin?
I say, what about the tea? Wasn't his lordship going to give Nancy a herbal variety from the lights around?
The tea is not important. Always accepting the sail on over on the sideboard. But we'll simply simulate that part. Now, is everyone ready? Any questions?
I have a question, Chief Inspector.
Now, why doesn't that surprise me? What is it, Mrs. Custine?
The time element. The lights were out for no more than 5 seconds. Surely there's far too much to be done in that short interval.
You'd be surprised how much can be done in such a short interval of time. 5 seconds is a lot longer than you think, but here, you have absolutely nothing to do while the lights go out. Take my stopwatch. And when the inspector gives the signal to begin, press start.
And when I say stop, press stop. You do know how to work a stopwatch, I know.
Oh yes, I used to coach my high school's debate team.
Splendid! Then if everyone is ready to begin, please.
On your marks, get set, begin. Ben, Mr. Wagner, get rid of it. Time.
Well, Miss Custodine?
Why, exactly 5 seconds.
And that's what happened while the lights were out.
Oh, but where did Pierre run to just now?
To change his shirt, of course, and put a bandage upon a bloody area of his chest.
Unfortunately, it was still dark when I did so, and I inadvertently donned a dark blue shirt instead of a duplicate yellow shirt. But fortunately, nobody noticed.
I noticed.
I applaud your powers of observation on all three. And if nothing was that one mistake, I would have gotten away with it.
But that message is written in blood behind the dust. Do you mean that it was there the whole time, even before the lights went out? Lord Clive had no time during that brief interval of darkness to write it out. So obviously he pre-planned it and written it out long before the event.
But what was the point of the message?
To throw suspicion upon Pierre, of course.
Lord Clive didn't care who got the blame so long as it wasn't himself. So,
tea points her mother?
Well, your father had your mother order the tea, knowing that she'd be so thrilled with finally having a nice blend in the house, she'd talk of nothing else but the Marquis's soiree, thus bringing dozens of witnesses to swear that she'd been the purchaser of the drink likeliest for the gentleman to drink.
Now I understand how the calypso notes might incriminate me most, but how to say gibberish on the back of the page incriminates me.
It's not gibberish, Monsieur Curie. His lordship's hobby was creating palindromes after all.
But my red rum pour out, that emits Civil War Style 1, isn't a palindrome.
Not quite, only if you please. What it is a first half of a palindrome. All that was left to do was continue it, and writing the first half backwards, we arrived at now I score. I victim, examiner of murder by M.
By M?
The French abbreviation for the word Monsieur.
Who else could qualify?
But why did the master cry out soft sauce?
To point yet another guilty finger at Pierre, who was a naval person.
But what does being a man of the sea got to do with sauce? Well, he didn't cry out sauce. A seagoing distress signal. Surely you're all familiar with SOS?
Being in the process of strangulation, he simply did not have time to spell it out.
Amazing. But there's still something I don't quite get. Why drop a pistol into the teapot?
Having shot the pistol in total darkness, Lord Clyde couldn't be sure that he hadn't shot someone. It would be quite messy if he resurrected later on to charge basis of manslaughter.
So, the panic asked if he would swiftly obliterate any evidence on the pistol. That way no one would ever know who fired that shot. It's all so childishly simple, once it's been explained.
A brilliant solution to another baffling case, Inspector Braddock.
Nothing left but to arrest Pierre for Clive's murder.
Although no intention of arresting Pierre for that murder.
What? For the love of reason, Inspector, why not?
Because Lord Clyde Wickenham is not dead.
But when we carried his body,
He certainly seemed dead enough.
but when you two picked him up,
His body jackknifed, and his internal organs pushed up against his diaphragm, and that obviously started his breathing again.
Obviously. What's so obvious about that?
the fact that Lord Clyde is alive and healthy makes it perfectly obvious.
But how do you know that he's alive and well? Well, you haven't so much as peeked into his bedroom, have you?
Well, what good would that do us?
Since he's not in his bedroom,
Then
Where is he?
lying right in front of his bride-to-be.
Blast them all!
How could you?
Where did I go wrong? My disguise was flawless. I made myself appear shorter, I changed my hair, and my voice was even different.
You gave yourself away, Lord Clyde. You made 3 appallingly stupid errors.
What errors?
First of all, after climbing up the cliffside in a ferocious tropical storm, you entered this room dry as toast.
What you actually did after Algy and Remley left your body on the bed was get into your disguise, climb onto the balcony after the storm had abated.
So that's why Clive so uncharacteristically shut those doors.
And I helped him with his deception. I hate you, you're horrible man, I despise you!
Well, that's merely one error. What are the others?
In our reenactment just now, when Pierre began to strangle you, you cried out, sauce, sauce.
So what if I did? That's precisely what I called out whenever he really tried it while the lights were out.
Yes, but who told you? I certainly didn't. I merely told you where to move and what to do, not what to say.
A stupid police trap, and I fell right into it. Blast it all!
And for your third major error, you as Tom Groggins claimed to not have seen Mimosa for the past 5 days.
But you were supposed to be in love with her, about to elope with her, in fact.
What of it?
Well, come now, Lord Clyde. What man on greeting his sweetheart wouldn't ask her what had happened after seeing a large ugly bruise upon her forehead?
But as Lord Clyde, you didn't have to ask, because you put that bruise there yourself just 2 days earlier.
As a real Tom Groggins, screws with Phoebe, well, you'd have thrown him out and sued him for separate maintenance. Well, by murdering her and casting suspicion upon you, he'd have killed two birds with one stone, as it were. You would hardly be entitled to separate maintenance, languishing in jail or even on the gallows.
Money, always money. I should have known that would be Clyde's motive.
Well, now then, the most important is going to jail. I don't suppose the maid's position will be open anymore.
Don't count on it. Rowena Renly hasn't let up since she first arrived here.
I never thought I'd find you! Oh, I've been looking for you since the first day I arrived on this island. I never imagined I'd find you working in the same household. Oh, Rowena! Phoebe!
Well, we are actually twin sisters separated and fed.
Twins! We're most stable her native soil with mother and father took me back to England.
And now we have found each other.
I say, with the governor no longer around to object to it, will you marry me, Chloe?
Oh, Algie.
Chloe.
Now that you see me as I really live, let me help you break out of your British shell and break down your icy reserve.
Oh, do you really think I could?
I do indeed.
Amazing, Grace.
All set up in this room makes me want my beloved Payson more.
Yeah, you really do love me. Would you let me dress you?
I mean, help me pick out your clothes.
Anything, my sweet Phoebe. Will you be my bride to be?
Yes, if you dress impeccably.
I promise, Monsieur.
Darling.
Oh, my.